Hello, everyone. Wishing you a fantastic start to the new year. Welcome to CareersTalk. I'm Suran Sharma, an Agile consultant based in Netherlands. And today we have an exclusive session featuring Swadhinta Pal, who has been recently participated in several interviews. And our focus today is on Airbus. So throughout this series, we will going to cover 20 to 30 different Scrum Master interview questions. So be sure to subscribe. And if you find the content valuable, don't forget to hit that like button. So without further delay, let's dive in. So welcome Swadhinta and thank you for joining us today. Swadhinta.
Thank you, Sunan. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I'm very much excited for this session and at the same time bit nervous also because it's my first podcast and I'm happy to be the part of your channel. At last, I would, thank you that you are doing a lot for the community and thank you. You're introducing Career Talk to our life. Okay.
Thanks, Swadhinta. So just can you just tell us about yourself in a brief and then we'll start with our Q&A session?
Sure. My name is Swadhinta. I have started off my career in 2013 as a data analyst. After a year in that role, I did a dual role of data analyst and a scrum master because at the time my company was transforming from a waterfall to agile. Slowly, my interest indulged more towards the agile world. And to know more and deep, I did certification. Then I decided to move on and I wanted to explore new opportunities and different type of team which is working in agile and different type of framework which is related to agile, like Kanban, XP, the other working methodologies. So I decided to move out from my comfort zone, and which really helps me in my career. That's all about me.
Thank you. Great, Swadhinta. Okay, so if you allow, shall we start with our Q&A?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So the very first question is, let's imagine you are introducing Scrum to a team who are unfamiliar with agile methodologies. So how do you going to convey the concept of short cycles and a continuous feedback or iteration or iterative, right? With using some real world examples. So if you can just explain that, that will be great.
Yeah. So this question have two part. First part is convey the concept of short cycle and continuous feedback. I would like to add adopt and evaluate also in that. And some of the real world example here I will give, and at the same time I will also relate with the software development project. So the example is, just imagine that you are building a delicious apple pie. Instead of baking the whole thing in for hours, or for more than hours, and hoping it turns out right, let's see and let's relate how we can work in a scrum way. So the first I would relate as a short cycle, which we can say sprint. So suppose you decide to bake the pie for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you are comfortable with. As well as in each sprint, focus on the specific part, like making the crux, making the fillings, making the toppings. This way you can assess progress and also adjust quickly. Likewise, and software development, instead of working for features for months, the team break down the project into 2 to 4 weeks, which we call it sprint, to achieve the task. Each sprint basically delivers a potentially shippable product, which we can say as an increment. Now, talking on the continuous feedback. So, on continuous feedback, after each sprint, we taste the fillings or test the crux for textures. Like this feedback allows you to fix any issue before investing more times and effort. Also, you notice maybe the fillings need more sugar, or might it need a pinch of more salt. Likewise, in software development, instead of waiting for the final release, the team gets constant feedback throughout the user testing, code review, and the data analysis. This way, Scrum allows team to pivot early if something isn't working as expected. So as I briefed you, I also want to add adopt and evaluate, which is one of which we can relate as one of the Scrum ceremony as a retrospective. So evaluate, adopt and evaluate. So based on the feedback, we refine our approach for the next sprint. Maybe we try a different flow or adjust the baking time. This Scrum iterative progress ensure we are constantly evolving our creation for the best result. Likewise, in software development, based on the feedback, the team can change the feature or also prioritize differently what PO wants, or team even scrap the ideas to ensure the finished product is in line with the stakeholder or the end user need. Now, the second part of the question is basically introducing Scrum to the team which is unfamiliar with the Agile methodology. So how I do is basically I will explain fast result which while adopting Scrum. I will explain in this way. I will give you a brief how I explain. In Scrum we get smaller working version of software sooner, which actually embrace continuous learning cycle and also adopting speeds. The other I would explain as high quality high quality by adopting a Scrum, high quality result we get while adopting Scrum. So by addressing issues early in the Scrum, we avoid costly reworks and delivers a better final product. The other I would say is increase flexibility while adopting Scrum. So if Scrum, we don't in Scrum we don't lock with the grid plan. We have a very flexible working and very feedback type of cycle we follow. So we can readily adjust the change as need of the market feedback or the stakeholder feedback. So at last, I would like to summarize that Scrum is all about embracing an iterative and flexible approach. Just like a perfect apple pie isn't achieved in one step, a great software is built throughout a repetitive cycle of learning, adaptations, and improvement. That's all I would like to answer in this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on. So this one is somewhere related to the first question itself. So, for example, if you
Mhm,
are mentoring a new Scrum team, right? So,
mhm,
how would you emphasizes the importance of commitment, courage, or focus? All
mhm.
this well, with respect to pillars in Scrum. So, how you do want to introduce all these concept to your new Scrum team?
Hmm. Okay, so five values of Scrum. Okay, so Scrum is just not a framework; it's a philosophy which centralizes around the specific value that shapes the team mindset and also guide team actions. So, what are those values? To remember that I have made the acronym as FORCE instead of E at the end. Just use number two because these value has two C's, which is commitment and courage. The other words stand as F for focus, O for openness, R for respect. So one by one, let's go. How would I, emphasize on these value? First is focus. So I want to elaborate focus as a team should remain highly focused on the sprint work, also minimize distraction and teams prioritization backlog item that contributes to the sprint goal. Example I would give as a Scrum board. In Scrum board I can relate this with the Scrum board. How the the team implements Scrum board to visualize the task progress and also identify potential bottlenecks. And in daily stand up meeting helps keeping everyone aligned and aware of any roadmap. The other is now the openness. So openness, for openness I would like to emphasize the importance as team should foster transparency and open communication, also shares informations readily that address challenges collaboratively. Example here I will give you a daily stand up meeting stand-up meeting. I can relate with a daily stand-up meeting as using our updates each other on progressing and challenges, not for the personal report, but the team welcomes feedbacks and suggestion from the any member in the team, which is regardless of their role. So which is the best for the team is that says the team is open for the feedback, and they shows the openness. The third one is the respect. So I want to emphasize the importance as each team member should value for their unique skills and contribution, as well as creating the safe environment for delivering opinions where everyone can speak up their opinion without judging. Also to have a healthy discussion. Example, I can relate with retrospective. So the team actively listens to each other during the retrospective, also acknowledge success. This is very important when we talk about the respect, and the and also they don't play the blame games, and the atmosphere we should have to create that there should not be the blame game. If people are people are giving the success and the failures, addressing success and failures in the retrospective. The last I would say is team should value individual strengths and encourage and embrace problem solving workshop. Okay, so the next I the first C for this value is commitment. So I want to emphasize the importance as team members should fully commit to deliver a valuable product in each sprint. The example I can relate with the delivering or sprint delivery or a sprint goal. How is basically during sprint planning, the team openly discuss their capacity and agrees on realistic sprint goal by understanding their individual and collective responsibility for meeting this goal. The last would be the last would be the courage. So for courage, to emphasize courage, the team should embrace challenges and risk, also welcoming also willing to experiment and adopt the changes. They should not afraid of failures and learn from their mistake. Example, I can relate with the feedback which we get every sprint end. The team implements small potentially shippable increments, also allows them to test assumptions and receive feedback early. They are open to changes if the feedback says allowed, and which is according to the stakeholder or the end user. So at the end or at the end, by emphasizing all these core values, team learn basically for to get committed, focus, openness, respect and courage. Also team land up more productive, adaptive and ultimately a successful agile team. Thank you.
Okay, great for that elaborated answer.
Thank
Okay, okay, let's move on. So this is kind of behavioral question, uh, just to check the practical aspect of a Scrum Master. So let's assume that you are working with different teams. So can you just give any specific example of the sprint where as a team you are successfully able to set and achieve a clear sprint goal, and what are the key components of that particular goal, and the other part is like how did you measure whether this particular sprint is successful or not? So there are like two different questions in
you.
this one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I would say a well-defined sprint goal is the heart of every successful Scrum iteration. A sprint goal acts as a guiding light and also keeps the team focused and aligned throughout the sprint. It's very important to involve the team member while crafting the sprint goal because they ensures buying and ownership from the team members. So here you have asked me the component of the sprint goal? The component, I would use SMART as an acronym. So let's go one by one, like what that stand for, and I will elaborate the SMART with respect to the sprint goal. So as small, it should be small, clear, and agreed by other team member and easily understood by the entire team. Avoid any ambiguous language or technical jargons in sprint goal. So the other is M, which is measurable. So define how you will measure the success of any sprint goal. So sprint goal could be two types, which is first is a qualitative and quantitative. For quantitative, I will give you one example as increasing user engagement by 15%. So this is a quantitative. And the qualitative is basically, I will give you example as implement a new feedback system. Okay. So these is a two type of sprint goal, and we have to measure it accordingly. So M stand for measure. Now other is A is basically achievable. The goal should be ambitious but achievable within a given sprint time frame. It should not be that you have written any sprint goal and it is stretching, two sprints or three sprints. So, while crafting sprint goal, we should consider the team capacity, like like who all are available, any plan leave and all, risk and potential roadmap. The R stand for relevancy. The goal should be aligned with the product vision. It's not like you craft any sprint goal which is not in line with the product vision, and also deliver concrete value to the stakeholder, which is very important. The last from smart, which is T as time bound. So it should be specific to a current sprint. Like it should not like any sprint goal you set and it is going beyond a particular sprint, and it is taking a lot of time to complete. So time bound provides focus and keeps the team accountable. The other is, I think you have asked how we have to measure. Okay, so as I briefed you previously here, that we have two type of sprint goal. So which is qualitative and quantitative. Let's see how we have measured, and I will give you the live example which is related to my projects. Okay. Okay. So for quantitative goal, use data and matrices to track the progress and determine if the target was met. Let's give you an example. Okay, if a goal was to increase the user engagement by 15%, you would compare engagement matrices before and after the sprint. And for quantitative goal, evaluate progress through a subjective assessment, or we can say stakeholder feedbacks and product demos. This way you can assess the progress for qualitative goals. Let's say ask a question this way: did the feature delivers the intended value? Was the feedback system implemented effectively? This way we can ask. The other part of the question, I think, is example. We have to give an example which is specifically where sprint was successfully set and achieved with a clear sprint goal. So okay, so example for the sprint goal, which is from my recent project, is one example I will give you. Like improve customer satisfaction by reducing the cart abandonment rate by 10%. So how I have measured this? Okay, so track the cart abandonment rate throughout the sprint using analytical tools. Also conduct the post sprint customer satisfaction surveys to gather feedbacks on the implemented changes. And the last outcome was the cart abandonment rate reduced by 8%, which you can say we have met 80 percentage of the target whatever we have set as a sprint goal. The survey recent okay the survey which we took also give us the positive feedback, and also the new checkout process for the new checkout process, and also improve the stakeholder satisfaction. So this is the live example which I have we have in our project, and we have achieved it by setting a clear sprint goal.
Great.
That's all, Sunan. Thank you.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so let's move on. The next question is, so let's say if you have to choose one agile principle that
Mhm.
align with your values as a scrum master or as an individual, right? So which would it be, and how do you apply it in your real world scenario?
Okay. Okay, so among 12 agile principle, I would choose simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential in line with my values the most. Okay, so maximizing work not done in agile isn't about laziness or doing less. It's about being thoughtful and strategic, and also focus on what is truly matter to your project, or to the sprint, particular sprint, and delivering value effectively. So by prioritizing and by eliminating unnecessary complexity, also to the agile team, and doing less, that means that leads a faster result and high quality outcome. So some of the example I would give is the problem statement was a team is overloaded with a feature for website design, and adding everything through means of months to the developer is potentially we land up as a scope creep. Okay, so the solution is we applied the simplicity principle, and the team prioritize the most essential feature, example cross functionality, user experience improvement, and also they have eliminated critical features for future iteration because that was not important. This focus efforts on delivering the values and core product sooner rather than spending a time on belling, and on belling the unnecessary work which was lined up for the months and which was given by the PO. Okay, so this way we have solved it. The other problem statement I would give you as a software development team was discovering numerous bugs during the testing. They were attempting to fix all the bugs during the release, but they couldn't because of delayed, and they land up delaying having the entire project. The solution is, as we apply the simplicity, the team prioritized the bug based on the severity and the impact. What is the severity level, which the severity level, if it is high we have to keep it first, and for the severity level or the impact level we have to move it for future sprints. So critical bugs blocking main functional get addressed sooner, and this way we have solved this issue that was the lot of bug was there for the testing. So this way we have done, and I think we were successful. So that's all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. So, friends, we are halfway through this session. And if you have been enjoying it, don't forget to hit that like button. And also, if you're interested in joining as a guest, feel free to reach out to me, drop me an email or a comment. And for those who are facing challenges in clearing Scrum Master interviews, you can always schedule a session with me with the help of TopMate. The link is in the first pinned comment section below in this video. So, with this, let's move on. Swadhinta, can we just go ahead with the next question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So next question is about user stories. So can you describe a situation where any poorly defined user stories has impacted your team progress? So what steps which you have taken to improve the clarity and the completeness of the user stories? So that's the question, Swadhinta.
Okay. So Okay, so again, this question have two parts. So first, I want to give you some of the example for poorly defined user story. So answering to this first, the example was I will give as improve user engagement. So don't you think it's a vague term? So the question can be asked on this. The vague story is which action constitute improvement? Who are the relevant user? Is the 5% increase is good enough? So this is example. Some more example I will give you so that I can explain better. The other is basically implement search functionality. So it sounds very simple, the sprint goal. But again, the question, what are the search criteria? What type of search is a transitional search, navigational search, or informational search? What is the expected performance of that search features? Okay. The other, I think, which I think most of the folks are using as a sprint goal and which I think is poorly defined, is fix bugs. This is the sprint goal. Don't you think it's an open-ended type of user story? Now the question on this asks which type of users, what is the priority, which type of bug, what is the priority, what is the severity level, is what constitute as fix, okay, which we say as fix bug. So these are some of the example I gave you, which is poorly defined user story. So now comes the impact on team progress if we have these type of user story. First is the communication breakdown. So if so, it can happen that team member interpretate a user story differently, also leads to confusion and lot of rework. Other is a scope creep. So definitely unclear user story leads unclear acceptance criteria, which allows features to become a balloon, and this result in exceeding time and resource estimation. And the other I would give you, with this poorly defined user story, we can have a demo disaster. So poorly or vaguely defined user story result in unpredictable outcome at the demo due to the ambiguity in user needs and functionality. The last and the most important, for if we using the poorly defined user story, is the moral dip for the team members. Not having proper user story leads to frustration and feeling of aimlessness and demoralization of the team members. So the other part is the step we took where we have improve and completeness of the user story and the clarity of the user story is by first is by doing the user story workshop. So uh, we should have a collaboration with the stakeholder and PO, as well as a team member to refine a user story. The format should be, we should promote the format as user perspective. What is that format? Which is as a persona. I want a particular goal, so that the benefit, what is the benefit? Format which is a proper structure and very clear as a user story. The other we have introduced is definition of done DOD. We establish a clear acceptance criteria for each story, also outlining deliverables, performance matrices, and success conditions in that DoD checklist. The next we have also ensured that it should fulfill invest criteria. We should adopt the invest framework. What is that mean? Is basically individual, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable to ensure story is well defined and actionable. The last we have introduced as user acceptance testing, which is a UAT. The team should start involving user early and often, also gathered feedback and ensure features met features basically met their need before the release. When we do user testing, this happened. Okay, so by doing all these, the result was transformatively good. Well defined user story foster focused communication, also predictable deliverables and sense of accomplishment, as well as a moral booster to the team member. Now it's a now in our team we are embracing the mantra, as well defined story leads a well built product. Thank you, Sunant.
Thanks, Swadhinta, for that. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. So, can you share any example where you successfully improve the effectiveness of a Scrum event? So, for example, let's say sprint planning. So, what changes which you have implemented, and what was the outcome?
Okay. So yeah, for sure. Imagine any team stuck in a repetitive and uninspiring sprint planning routine, and meeting goes long, and also tasks are vaguely defined, and a team member feels overwhelmed and uncertain about the sprint outcome, and sprint upcoming sprint what is going to happen, and they are demoralized. So this keeps on happening in a sprint planning, okay, because it becomes very monotonous sometime. So in this situation, being a scrum master, my intervention should be before meeting, after meeting, and during meeting. So before meeting, what being a scrum master, so I have gathered pre sprint planning inputs, such as instead of rely solely to the backlog item. Being a scrum master, I should encourage the team member to share their ideas, technical hurdles, and potentially dependent foreheads. Okay, so this helps to remove some of the pains, and this helps to get prepared before planning. And other is prepare visual aids. Why visual aids? Basically, create a user story on cards, sketch, sticky notes, and also we know after COVID we should use digital board, and we are using, most of the companies are using Kanban. Apart from that, sometime keeps on using some other online which boards which are freely available just for interest, just to make interesting that event. Okay, so this foster interaction, also facilitate prioritization, and provide a tangible reference point throughout the meeting. And set the time limit which we have to do before the meeting. It's very important. It's important to allow specific time slots for different segments of the meeting, like backlog refinement, task estimation, or sprint goal defining how much time it is taking. So this keeps a discussion on track and avoid zigzag communications. Okay, now this comes, before meeting you have to be prepared for these things. During meeting is we have to facilitate actively. Being a scrum master, it should not that you should be the standby. Okay, you can guide the discussion, ensure everyone participating, ask a probing questions, like why this much estimation, why not this, and ask user refinement questions on user refinement, whether the user story needs more refinement, like that type of question. And so that clearly understand and make sure that any of the user stories clearly understand by all the team members, not only two of the team member get understand that user story, other is not. So you have to be taking a participation very actively. Okay, the other is ensuring a collaborative estimation instead of individual estimation, like one of the senior folk or some of the team members are estimating. Promote planning poker, which is, I think, extensively used in Scrum world. and also go for some of the online collaborative planning poker techniques which are available freely. Okay, so this type of discussion, and this will increase engagement and build team trust. So these type of things we can do. Other is focus on the sprint goal, which is very important, as I briefed you in earlier questions also. What is a sprint goal, what type of sprint goal, clear clarification on the sprint goal, format of the sprint goal. So ensure that team constantly relate tasks back to the overarching the sprint goal. It should not be any of the task may is created which is not related to the sprint goal. So this emphasize purpose and ensure everyone is aligned with the desired outcome. Okay, and break down into silos. Why silos? Ensure cross-functional collaboration during task assessment. This promotes ownership, basically to promote ownership, knowledge sharing, and break down communication barriers. So now other is after the meeting what you have to do being a scrum master if the sprint planning meeting is becoming very monotone, is documentation and sharing. Prepare a clear sprint planning outcome, outlining task, also responsibility, deadlines, and communication, in any of the communication channel. This provides a reference point to everyone and avoid confusion. Okay, monitor progress throughout the sprint. Being a scrum master, it's a duty that you can hold a quick informal check-ins to the individual roadblockers, impediments, offer support if they required, being a servant leader, and also adjust the plan if needed after consulting with the PO. Okay, by doing these things, what the outcome came is basically the re-energized sprint planning session leads to be clear, also well-defined sprint with achievable goal and task. Team member feels engaged, connected, and confident about their direction. Improve communication, transparency, and ownership, boost their collaboration, and ultimately increase the change in the successful sprint. So that's all from this question. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Thanks, Swadhinta, for that. Okay. So we know that in any project, let's say in a agile project,
Mhm.
there are lot of unexpected risk which may come. So can you provide any example of any risk that you faced recently in one of your sprint, and how you manage and mitigate that risk?
Okay, so for risk, yeah, for sure. So example for this is our agile team, which is following a Scrum, is deep into a sprint development for mobile application app. So everything is running fine, and user story is being completed, and the sprint goal seems firmly within reach. Then, like ball from the blue, a disaster strike. We discover a critical, security vulnerability in our core, system, authentication system, which potentially exposed user data. This result panicking and pressure in the team. So how I effectively manage being a scrum master, my first instinct was to remain calm and collective, because panicking won't solve anything. I quickly conveyed the team for the emergency meeting, which is a top priority I did. And then and in the meeting, we assessed the situation, also mapped out the potential impact, and again that prioritize the immediate actions what we have to take. Other, I focus on transparency and communication. We inform stakeholder openly or end user openly and honestly about the issue, what is the issue, also outlining the potential risk and next steps, what should we have to take, and what will be the next step. We know the fact that transparency build trust and ensure everyone was in the same page. So next step was reprioritization and focus. We immediately halt work on non-essential feature and reprioritize the sprint. also focus all efforts on patching and security vulnerabilities. The other step was collaboration and expertise. So we tapped into the team's collective knowledge and skill. Where developers were relevantly where sorry where the developers were engaged in security tasks and others are supporting the testing. So this way we can manage the expertise in the team. The next step was adopting the sprint goal. So we acknowledge that the original sprint goal might not be achievable under these circumstances because there is a problem. So we adjust our sprint goal realistically, also focus on resolving the security issue on the top priority. Last step we took was utilize sprint scrum ceremonies. We held focused daily stand up meetings to track progress, also identify roadblockers and course of action as needed. And other scrum ceremony, which is retrospective, became the forum to reflect on lesson learned and improve our security practices. Though open communication shift actions and collaborative problem solving, the outcome was we manage a patch that patches we manage the we managed to patch the vulnerability within the original sprint framework. While we did not deliver all the initial plan feature, but we achieved the most critical outcome and protect user data and security. So this was the live example we have tackled this way. That's all, Sunan. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, I think we are good for today. So, yeah,
Okay.
thank you for joining us for today's session, friends. And we hope that you found this session helpful and informative. And if you enjoy this session, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you soon in our next session. So, thank you, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you, Swadhinta.
Thank you.